You've said you didn't know anything, but as the person who shared his life, as his wife, did you really not notice anything?
I absolutely didn't know that he was committing crimes. Look, I understand that question. It's human nature. If I was on the outside looking in on this happening to somebody else, it's very probably a question I would be asking too. I think that question, though, is based on a lot of assumptions that are perhaps understandable, but are completely wrong. The first assumption is that I knew about all of the things that he was purchasing. There's a lot of the items that have been mentioned in the court documents and therefore by extension in the press that I wasn't aware of. Some of the items I was aware of, including things he bought for me as gifts and presented to me as gifts that he had bought for me. None of these things I would have looked at and thought, how on earth could he afford them? We were two people on high salaries. We don't have children. We didn't have, an extensive social life, mainly because of the pressures of my job. We very rarely went on holiday. So we had incomes that would, as far as I could see, would have supported anything that I was seeing in my house. I think the other thing, which, is just a fact of life, I was the First Minister of the country. I was working round the clock most days. I wasn't at home very often. I didn't take much, if anything, to do with the administration of our household. Just to explain how our finances work, we had separate bank accounts. I never had any access to his bank account. He didn't have any to mine. Every month I would pass him a sum of money to cover my share of the household expenses and leave him to it.
But this was much more than the odd thing here or there or routine household items. Some of them were very basic. He even spent a few pounds on new toilet seats or a onesie. But he spent thousands of pounds on watches, thousands of pounds on pens, some of which you were pictured using, expensive handbags as gifts for you, thousands of pounds on several coffee machines.
Well,
these were a whole series of items that were far out of reach of the normal family.
We weren't a normal family. I was the First Minister of the country. Expensive watches. I never saw those watches. I until they were asked about in the context of a criminal investigation, I didn't know they existed. You mention a onesie. Never ever saw it. A coffee machine. We had a nice coffee machine in our house. We were on salaries that would not have made me question how we could have afforded a decent coffee machine.
And a lot of people might think, okay, it's not that unusual in a relationship that one person does the bills, one person looks after the money.